Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the MNB Wrestling Report Week in Review for January 23rd, 2011. I am Mackenzie, Chief Editor at MNBWrestling.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Mackenzie99. Also with me tonight is our Chief TNA Correspondent, Nathan.
Hello, everybody.
He's going to talk to you a little bit about TNA Impact this week. After I talk about Raw and SmackDown, and then we are going to come together to talk about the three-man Royal Rumble and possibly some other news coming down the pipe in the wrestling world. Going ahead, starting out with Raw, there were three major points to Raw to me this week. The first one was the John Morrison-Daniel Bryan match. Thought it was a really good match, wish they'd gotten more time, wish they'd gotten not to have a commercial break in between, in the middle of the match. Good, solid match. Morrison won it off the running knee. Afterwards, we had some bet forming between the Bellows over which, let's be blunt about it, is going to steal Daniel Bryan's virginity. Yeah. God, I hope they're not really doing that to him. That's the last thing we need is WWE's version of the 30-year-old virgin.
Please, no.
Moving on, we also had a great match between Dolph Ziggler and Randy Orton that Orton won clean. What happened? The finish was kind of hard to see, but what happened was Ziggler went for a zigzag, and Orton twisted around and caught him with an RKO in midair, which was really awesome to see once you realized what it was. They had a really good match. Afterwards, Miz and Alex Riley beat the hell out of Randy Orton, which I think needed to happen. It gave Miz a toughness that he has been lacking since he won the title. So I thought it was added a lot to him as a character. Also going on, we had the match between CM Punk and John Cena, which I thought was also a solid match. It's great to see CM Punk in there feuding on the main event level again. Kind of the story of that match, though, was the arrival of Batista Jr., as I will refer to him until his official name is given. Batista Jr. came into the ring. He kicked CM Punk in the face to cause the DQ, proceeded to plant Cena, and then bowed to CM Punk and joined the Nexus. So kind of interesting to see where that goes with the now 5-member CM Punk Nexus, including David Otunga, Michael McGillicuddy, and Husky Harris. Moving on to SmackDown. SmackDown was kind of a below-average show this week, to be perfectly honest. Not a lot happened that I really thought was noteworthy. The amateur wrestling match between Intercontinental Champion Kofi Kingston and Jack Swagger was interesting. Swagger picked up the win in that match, but Kofi got the final laugh with a kick to the head on Swagger. The only thing really of note that happened was at the very start of the show, Wade Barrett came down with Justin Gabriel, Keith Slater, and Ezekiel Jackson, and announced that they were now going to be known as the Core, and that his big mistake with the Nexus was that it was all about him. It wasn't about the individual members of the Nexus. And the Core is not going to be that way because there is no leader. They are all equals in the group. Going to be interested to see how that pans out. Other than that, we had the final match. The main event was Edge versus Justin Gabriel. The rest of Core was heavily involved at Vicky's request. She was in charge after somebody laid out Teddy Long, which, considering he was accusing the Core of planning to run roughshod over SmackDown like the Nexus has in Raw, and that he wasn't going to stand for it. Not sure if I believe it, but it would make too much sense for the Core to attack him, so they probably didn't. Anyway, in the end, Zeke hit Edge with a big clothesline, which led to Gabriel getting the win. That's really all there is to say in my book about SmackDown and Raw this week. Not the strongest SmackDown, but above average Raw. I thought Raw was pretty solid overall. Nathan, why don't you go ahead, take over, and you can talk a little bit about Impact.
All right, well, this Impact for the week was actually a pretty good Impact. It started out with a very solid match with the knockouts, with Mickie James and Velvet Sky versus Madison Rayne and Sarita. It was a very good match because all 4 women were performing very well, especially Mickie James, showing that she still got the it factor even after being released by WWE for whatever reason, you have your various reasons why people think that was, but she's still performing very well and is definitely a good candidate to be knockout champion.
Yeah, TNA always has gotten a lot of praise as one of their big distinguishing factors against WWE was the strength of their knockouts division. It's kind of sad because they haven't gotten the same level of attention since the Hogan-Bischoff regime began.
And I think it is definitely related to that. There were many matches of the night, but I'm only going to pay attention to the ones that really stuck out in my mind. And one of them that definitely did was Jay Lethal versus Kazarian for the X Division title. It really shows that TNA's strong point is the X Division, with the collection of styles that people have, the high intensity, and just the innovation of the X Division made TNA what it was, and what made TNA what people wanted to watch. And, unfortunately with the Hogan-Bischoff regime, it's just watering it down and making it second fiddle, where it was very well respected and almost as much respect as the heavyweight division. But the fact is, both Lethal and Kaz had a very, very good match. I'd have to say it was probably let's just say it was the match of the night.
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard praises about the X Division a lot. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't watch a whole lot of TNA. I respect the talent. I know there's some great people there. I don't know what it is. I just can't seem to get into the product. But yeah, the X Division was another one of the distinguishing factors, especially when WWE eliminated their Cruiserweight division. And sadly, I think that's all Hogan and Bischoff look at it as.
Unfortunately, yeah. The other match was, I believe it was the main event. It was Beer Money versus Rob Van Dam and Mr. Anderson. And I'd have to say it was a good match. It was a good match. The main thing that I thought was really great was that all four men are very talented. Beer Money is a very strong tag team. RVD and Anderson are good competitors. RVD was showing off his kicks, and who doesn't like watching RVD pull off fancy kicks? Let's admit it. Anderson was snapping off DDTs and just throwing people around. It was very entertaining. And once again, going back to the angle of they are coming, which the first thing I thought when I heard Crimson...
Is it October again?
Yeah, I'm wondering, is it October? I'm wondering if I forgot to reset my calendar. But apparently they are coming again. And the first thing I thought was, really?
Again?
This arc isn't even, 3 months old. Well, even if it is 3 months old, it's not old. It's still fresh. And they're using it again. And that was my first reaction. I'm just thinking, really, are you guys just not being that creative? You really have to use this idea again? I mean, if you started dropping, subtle hints, just laying people out and like having a symbol on the wall, that'd be pretty cool. Or, even better yet, have a hit list.
But that would be creative. Yeah,
but have a hit list of Immortal, and each time someone's taken out, have their face covered with an X or something, and then say who's next. But then again, that's just me. But basically, I'm going to bite, and I am going to anticipate the coming of they, because I hope that they will take out Immortal, because ever since Immortal took over, TNA has not been doing very good, because it's NWO running the show all over again. Hardy's getting all the shots, everybody in Immortal cheats, and even if they lose, the matches are restarted or something like that. So,
yeah, well, what can you do? You don't have some very creative people there. So let's go ahead and talk about some other news, and we can debate this a little bit. Let's talk about the 40-man Royal Rumble WWE announced. What do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting, because one thing I always complained about in the Royal Rumble, and it's not really something I complained about, but I was just like, when the last guy entered, I was like, oh, I wish there were more people.
Right, but is the Rumble really stronger because Zack Ryder and Yoshitatsu are going to be able to be in it?
Well, I like Yoshitatsu, but Zack Ryder, I don't know. I haven't been able to see much of his matches. All I've been able to see are his weird pants.
He's back. He's in regular. He's not in the one-legged tights anymore.
I know, because that was just that was the main thing I remembered about Zack Ryder.
Yeah, he wore the tights with one leg.
Now he's wearing one-leg pants.
I mean, I look at it this way. I think this is what I've heard, and what I kind of believe is WWE knows they're coming into the road to WrestleMania. The Rumble is the big launch point to that. They know they have not built the hype for the Rumble very well.
That is true.
And they're hoping that by announcing it's going to be the biggest Rumble ever for the first time ever, it's going to be 40 men. That will draw some excitement and some pay-per-view buys.
I admit that is a very good idea. It's a thing that has me a little interested now. They've got 10 more guys in it.
The other thing that I've thought of is, let's be honest, they have a lot of guys right now that are very green. I mean, you look at some of the names, you got, Darren Young, who knew he was still around after, he got kicked out of Nexus. You've got, most of the Nexus guys that just aren't really ready yet. There's a lot of guys in there that are kind of question marks. And a lot of other people are thinking more people. You cut down the length of time between entries. And, they don't have to possibly stand alone in the ring for quite as long.
That's right.
I mean, either way, it should be an exciting match, and at least it gets more people a payday.
Yeah. They'll get eliminated in 30 seconds. Hey, I got paid $5,000 to run it for 30 seconds.
Yeah, something like that. I wonder if they're going to try to beat Santino's record. Well, that's the other thing that grows up is Kane's record is at risk now. Because when they got 40 people in the Rumble, you can have one guy eliminate 12 people, and you've still got a good chunk of people in there.
Right. What was Santino's
1 second.
Again? 1 second?
Yep.
Wow.
He broke the Warlord's record of 2 seconds with 1 second. He got in the ring, Kane threw him right back out, and then he complained that he wasn't ready.
I don't know if you can beat 1 second.
Yeah, half a second.
You'd have to be very talented to get beaten 1 second.
Yeah.
Or even less than a second.
Let me ask you a quick TNA question, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
All right.
Is it true that Anderson is still wearing Jeff Hardy's Divas Championship, or did the TNA title come back?
Unfortunately, Anderson still is wearing Hardy's butterfly belt, or then again, Hardy's comic book belt, because that describes it a little better. But the reason being is because, believe it or not, they had a storyline where they introduced the new belt, and it showed Hogan dropping the old belt in the trash, and that broke my heart, as well as it hit me in the groin, because that hurt me. That really did. And he gave Hardy the new belt. And then Eric Young, who they're pushing as a comedy act again, he said, I found this in the trash, so now I'm world champion. And he's going around as the unofficial TNA champion.
Gotcha.
So unfortunately, even though Anderson did make some comments about how bad the belt is, and pretty much probably, saying what everybody else is thinking about the belt, he's still wearing it.
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up here for this week. Once again, I'm Mackenzie, Chief Editor at MNBWrestling.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Mackenzie99. Special thanks to Nathan for joining us tonight.
It was great to be here.
I was glad to have you on. We look forward to seeing your Impact review every week.
All right.
Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and say goodnight here. Thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week, or look forward to seeing you on the site. Once again, that's MNBWrestling.com.